Soccer's world governing body, FIFA, has confirmed that Saudi Arabia will host the 2034 World Cup. FIFA says hosting the men's soccer tournament will encourage positive social change in the kingdom, including more rights for women. But rights groups warn that the construction of stadiums and transport networks for the event will put migrant workers' lives at risk.
Well, for more on FIFA awarding the World Cup 2034 to Saudi Arabia, I'm joined now by Russell Lucas, Professor of International Relations and Global Studies from Michigan State University. Russell, great to have you along. Saudi Arabia has been investing heavily in sports in recent years. Critics are accusing them of sports washing, a term we hear a lot of to cover up human rights abuses. Now they get to host one of the biggest sporting events in the world. What do you think their goal is?
Well, thank you for having me. I think the goal is prestige, that Saudi Arabia is trying to reinforce its place on the world stage through big sporting events, such as now hosting the World Cup. You know, look at, aside from Qatar, all the recent hosts of the World Cup, Russia, Brazil, South Africa have been, major regional powers, and the next World Cup's being hosted in the United States and Canada and Mexico. So Saudi Arabia is trying to improve its stature in the world, and also along the way develop some economic diversification away from petroleum.
Russell, as a football fan, my takeaway from Qatar was that despite the intense and understandable objections to the tournament being held there, once the whistle blew, it was very easy to forget and just watch the football. What I'm putting to you is the notion that sports washing kind of works. Do you think it does?
Well, I think, here we are talking about Saudi Arabia. And yes, of course, there's lots of negative aspects to what happened in Qatar. And I think we're quite, right to be worried about whether many of those issues of workers' rights and the construction, both not just of the stadiums, but also of all the infrastructure that goes into this, migrant workers make up basically all the labor force in these blue collar jobs, and they're highly at risk. So I think we are right to worry about that. But at the same time, yes, after the World Cup started in Doha, in Qatar, that the story tended to be about what was going on the pitch, and as well as what was kind of the announcing kind of Qatar to the world as well. And I do think actually this is another aspect of why Saudi Arabia is doing this, is because there is this tension and rivalry between Qatar and Saudi Arabia as to kind of who's kind of able to influence regional events and regional being a regional power. Now, Saudi Arabia has a much easier aspect at that. It's bigger, more wealthy, and has a much stronger military too.
Yeah, the regional rivalry will be fascinating when it comes to building these stadiums. The plans for these stadiums are out of this world. The last World Cup took place in Qatar, though. There was a lot of criticism directed at the hosts, as we've sort of talked about. Do you think Saudi Arabia fears the criticism when it's weighed against the benefits? Well,
I think for the Qatar World Cup, you can say that there were a lot of labor abuses, but at the end of the day, the workers' conditions in Qatar did improve through international pressure, not to where I think they should be, but and hopefully Saudi Arabia is going to take advantage of that as well. Now, of course, Saudi Arabia also has a much more pre-existing set of infrastructure. It's going to be, the country has multiple stadiums that they're, going to be investing in building new ones, but there already are, existing transport networks that is also going to be spread across a country, as compared to, Doha is a much smaller space that they were holding all of the events in. So I think Saudi Arabia is learning from that, and I think also that they're going to get out in front of the press, and they've also faced this accusation of sports washing in multiple other major sporting initiatives that they've had, and for example, the LIV golf initiative. And so Saudi Arabia is, used to that, and I think they're going to get ahead of it.
Russell Lucas, it's been great to get your insights. Much appreciated from Michigan State University. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.